Welcome back. This is Raven's Bloodlust for part 2 of Friday the 13th review. We last left off, Jason had died. His mortal body destroyed to a certain extent. He managed to... Oh, hi kitten. You want to be in the video too? Oh, this cat. He managed to jump bodies into a paramedic. That being said, he was able to continue murdering people at Camp Crystal Lake and around the lake as a paramedic. Perfect cover-up. He cleaned up the bodies. We didn't see or know it was the paramedic until the very end where the mask comes off, because they didn't show the killer like in the very first movie with his mom. That was a good movie. It was different change. It was the new beginning, because number 4 was supposed to be the last one. So, we move on to number 6. Number 6, we have Zombie Jason. People argue with me that Zombie Jason is the same. He's dead anyways. He's Zombie Jason all the time. He can't die. And I say he can die. Jason can die. He has died. And when I say he can die and that he has died, his spirit cannot die, but his physical body can. His original physical body was destroyed, and he did die, in a sense. So, in 6, Jarvis, last time we see Jarvis, messed up, and what ends up happening is Jason comes back because a rod gets shoved into him, right? And he was about to get set on fire, but he comes back. He gets electrocuted. Zombie Jason. He has like bugs and insects coming out of him, and he was dead. My friend's like, no, he's just resting. I'm like, no, he's not resting. He's not resting. He's a zombie. Clearly a zombie. The end of the movie, where we seem to see the final ending of Jason, because you know how these go, these Friday the 13 movies. Jason gets pulled to the bottom. I think no. I might be mixing up movies here. So, anyways, he gets killed off again. We got it right. He does get pulled, but he gets pulled to the bottom with a stone and a chain and technically drowns. So that body gets destroyed. He dies. And they say, oh, we returned him to his home. So he's finally back at Camp Crystal Lake where the curse began. And I think it's all over. It's not all over. We get over to part 9. Not part 8. Part 7, sorry. There's so many. We get over to part 7. And in part 7, our buddy Jason, they introduced it's something different, and I kind of liked it. It wasn't actually corny as I thought it was going to be. It is the New Blood. There's this girl. She's psychic. She has psychic powers. So it's Jason versus a psychic girl. And in the process, she kills her father as a little girl, and she regrets it. It was an accident. They had an argument. Anyways, so he dies in the lake. And in the process, she wants her father to be back, but she ends up, her psychokinetic powers wakes up Jason. You see it clearly. Or brings him back to life, because she wanted her father to be brought back to life, but in the process, she ended up bringing Jason back to life. So she has this connection with him. And he goes on his rampage again. He's just like, he's just killing people. It's all the same. But this time we have a psychic. So they have a connection. And she does a little battle. She does a little stuff, like drops a house on him. Sorry, not a house. She wraps vines around him and then pulls down with her mind, which is really cool. It's like Carrie. So she pulls this down, electrocutes him with the telephone wires, or we want to call them electrical wires. He gets zapped. Oh, he thinks he's dead. He gets back up, and he's totally pursuing her and everything. And the very end of the movie, she sets him on fire, and he's like, his face melts and everything, and it's like even more zombie. Like, it's just like so ridiculous, because he's been in the lake too, so he's like the corpse. He's still a corpse. He's still a zombie. And he goes back to the lake, and again, he dies in the lake for the third time. Well, no. It'd be the second time because he didn't die when he was a kid. That's the thing. I already discussed this. So he goes down there, and he dies because the father comes back to life, drags him off the pier into water, which is like really cool ending. She's like, oh, so this is the end of Jason. It's the end of Jason. No, it's not. Then we get to the most disappointing movie in this collection, the Friday the 13th franchise. It was the most budgeted one so far of the old movies. Spent a lot of money. Jason Goes to Manhattan. This had so much promise. So much promise. So he's in the lake, and then again, electricity somehow wakes him up like Frankenstein. Jumps aboard this boat. Kills all these people, but it's not at the camp. Or around the camp. He travels up the river to New York, and he gets there, and they go to New York. You see New York very briefly. And the way he acts like he tunnels people, like in Dead by Daylight. So the way he reacts is, like, there's people in his way, and he just kind of ignores them. Like, there's these punks, and there's a stereo there, and he just gets, like, super mad that it's there, and freaking kicks it and destroys it. And they're like, hey, what the fuck you doing? Blah, blah, blah. We're gonna come get you. So they go to get him, and what he does is he does his mask off thing, like this, and he like glares at him with a scary ass face, and they're like, oh fuck this, and they run off. So they run off, and they're like freaked out. And it's one of the first times that you see Jason actually ignore other people, like not distracted. He just walks away. And then they go, same thing on the subway. The subway, he ignores other people. So I'm like, all right. Because in the subway, he's just after these teenagers. Doesn't care about anyone else around him. And it's just like, it's comical. It's like he has a personality. It's like same, like they go to a restaurant and they're like, oh, we need the phone. We need to call, like, the police. We need help. So they're like, oh, there's a phone in the back. Jason just rips off the door from the breakfast place, we're going to call it the diner. And biker gets up, and the cook comes on the back, and they push the biker out of the way. It's like, oh, I got this, like this 6-foot guy. Tries to pick him up, whatever, and Jason just tosses him through the glass window. Jason likes tossing people through windows. Anyways, so on that, with that being said, and he leaves the waitress alone, and everyone else runs out. They're like, ah, and he's still up to the teenagers, like he totally ignores them for the most part. He's like a vigilante. He only goes out, he seems to only go after people that really stood in his way to attack him, or like the biker gangs or the druggies that are in the movie earlier, which I didn't discuss, but they're there, and he kills them too. So he's like a vigilante type thing, this person. It was just a weird version of it. It was interesting. So it was another one of those movies, yet again, to be one of the last. So Jason dies, zombie Jason. They use hazardous waste or toxic waste in the sewers, and it just floods, and it like melts his face and everything. It's kind of disgusting, but even then, it was interesting. And then he turns into his little kid self again. It's like, okay, so he's dead. I could see this movie would have been the one that ended the franchise just because of how bad it was. It was just bad. It's like, I don't like it. To me, it was as bad as the first one. The first one, the only thing I had to going for was that you don't actually see that he's the killer. He wasn't the killer in the first one, it's his mother, but you don't actually see the killer until the very end. So I'm just like, it was trying to be funny. There was some funny stuff in there, but it didn't fit the narrative for Jason. Jason's not a funny guy. They actually gave him personality, which is kind of weird. So that's out of those 4 movies I preferred. I enjoyed 5 a lot, and I enjoyed 6. Yeah, 6. 6 when he came back. Zombie Jason. And then 7 was pretty good. For the most part, it took risk, but it wasn't as bad as 8. 8 was just, I don't know what's out there. So I'm hoping that I can do, I want to do a part 3 of this. That'd be really awesome to discuss it, like how I feel, reviews on it. Like part 3 would be Jason Goes to Hell. I've never seen Jason Goes to Hell. Freddy versus Jason, and Jason X. See, I personally like Jason X, but we're not discussing that right now. And I've seen Freddy versus Jason, but I've never seen Jason Goes to Hell. So, canonically, those together work really well. So that would be a part 3 if I ever get to that. This is Ravens Bullets. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification button. I'll catch you guys later.